Welcome Saggitarius, Sun, Moon, and Rising. I'm Kiki. We're now in the Akashic Records Library. So let's see what books want to reach out to you for mid-August to September 2019. I know you're a fire sign, but I'm getting this feeling of the color of blue. Like either using your opposite or your dual air in your approach, or water, light blue, or light blue being the air. Either way, something about the shade of blue is saying either which way you probably would approach things. Or maybe that's what the character is feeling before we read the book. So let's see. Wow, yeah. Character is coming in as the king of air. Brilliant, impartial, but most importantly, professional and diplomatic. Anybody that comes around you of this character sees them as the king of air. What is the king? Why is the king approaching? The king may be approaching the Ten of Fire, or is approaching the Ten of Fire, is going in that direction. So the kingdom is being taken care of. Something must have felt really tight in the castle. The treasure is there, but it's heavy to hold it. Maybe the king has obtained new treasure, new fortune. And it needs seven. The king needs 7 things. The king needs 7 days to sort things out. Plans that need revision. More going on than meets the eye. Poor timing. This is air. The king is no king for just any reason. One of the king's specialty is sorting out through things that can become stressful. It's something in the kingdom that may have been tense, but now the king is going to revise it. That could be why maybe the people around the king needs things to be settled. Whatever it is, the king has the wand, the ace of fire, to take action on it. But in what way does the king want to take action on it? Let's see. No matter what, speak your mind with confidence. That would explain the energy we felt, Sagittarius, before we read the book. The character knows that he has to answer or take action, articulate or take action on something. It requires him to speak his mind with confidence. He is the king after all. Seek out professional advice. That would explain why the king has particular horses here. The king usually doesn't just have anybody around them. They usually have great counsels. What if the king, this is his first term as a king? Like any king, if we had to relate this to the real world, like either it can be friends, like when you are becoming the king and you have friends around you. These friends, like any friend, in my mind's eye, I'm getting 2 ways of this. From Spirit Guide, God, Gaia, your ancestors, they're all in the Akashic Records Library with us. We could go about it 2 ways. If we looked at it as friendship, imagine the character that was once a Ten of Fire became the king. So at the beginning, maybe the king was just a page of fire. A person, yes, very powerful. Their personality was powerful, but trying to find their place in the world, or using their personality to put them in the position that they know they were called for. So out of the 10 people here, or the 10 friends, one of them becomes the king of air. It's like getting getting either a particular, like seeing that now you out of the friends the popular one, or because the king is popular. So once a person was this a person to everyone, now the same person became the king. And like any king or like a friend that's coming up, it can be cause stress, or now this 10 of fire that is now a king has to sort out when they put their energy, like when does the king see their friend? When does the king see a friend? When does the king see common folk or regular people? When does the king see counsel? It's like sorting out who is friends, who is counsel, who is a friend, and who's there for you. A king can't have just anybody. So sorting out who are friends to the king and who are associates. There's nothing wrong with associates. My mom and a lot of people used to tell me, or even people my age, and I'm quite sure you heard about this, Saggitarius, they say that you can have many people, but it's always going to be that one friend that's going to be there for you no matter what. Maybe the king needs to know which friend is going to be there for him no matter what. If we had to look at it in the king's self, like we seen before, Sagittarius, the king of air was a page of fire once, was a person once. To actually get used to being a king takes time. It may become a little stressful because it's like a person that was around everyone now being plucked to become king. That can feel very conflicting, because like this person or the page of fire would have to know that they were meant to be a king, or the page of air would have to know they were meant to be a king, meant to have mature relationships, meant to have a mature life, meant to have things that only kings could get. And getting used to that, it has to be experienced. So this is why the king is moving forward, to experience the things that could feel frightening, but no matter what, the king can face it. Is looking for the queen of fire. Air's dual sign, or air's other side of who they are and personality, is fire. So the king also met a queen that shows confident warmth, intelligence, and grace. But most importantly, the king sees a lot in the queen. That forward action that she takes, a lot of people around her felt the energy of masculine. It's like this queen knew and knows how to tap into her masculine energy. She knows to get what she wants, she has to get it. That's all her masculine. But how she governs it is with grace. That could be who he is coming towards, the queen of fire. Or this is what the king could be possibly learning, how to emerge the feminine side of the way he answers or speaks his mind. Is the way that he puts attention to it. He's probably used to directing orders, but may have not realized that the orders that the king gives, it is governed. So now to see how he speaks when it is governed by the councils or other advisors, that it is approached in a graceful manner. 7. So something about 7. The character knows that, or the king knows, when meeting the queen, or tapping into the feminine energy, that something that was complex can now be clear. They had to sort out things that require them to speak. Now they have to sort out things that requires to understand their words, how they work it. That you've seen it, Sagittarius, how they govern it. Maybe it's too stern. It's trying to find that balance between, yes, being stern, but being sincere about it. A complex decision that needs to do research. The need to do research. Stop procrastinating. Well, the king is not procrastinating. Maybe every place or every station port that the king goes to will show him more and more about himself through water. That he knows himself through air, but knowing himself through water. His intuition, seeing how his words even hold intuition. How he speaks holds intuition. Wow. Okay. So let's see. Six of Air. So the king becomes successful with the queen and how to take the action, but seeing that the queen was only there to show him that he is a king. A lot of times, in order for us to know if we are who we say we are, sometimes we need another person either in that same status, most likely in the same status, to tell us, yes, you are who you say you are. You're a king. Only another king or queen can actually say that to another like that. But it took him to go through 7 stages or for 7 days with the Queen of Fire to see that he is a good successor. Is now to when he comes back to his castle, because his castle been all stressed out trying to figure out, is he going to stay a king or is he going to just go back to, the life of being a person? Or in that time period, a person was considered a peasant, someone that knows how a peasant is. When we think of a peasant, we may, in our society in 2019, we may think of somebody that is poor. That could be true. That is one, but that's not all. A person that is a peasant knows that the person is skilled at something. That's how they're able to survive. Maybe not to a king or queen status, but they know how to survive in the land. A peasant could be a farmer, a blacksmith, pretty much any profession was at the beginning of kings and queens. We just now call it something else. Now a person that knows how to own land used to be called the landlord. We still call landlords now, but we use it for different reasons. When meeting this queen, the king of air got this, and the king is very, very intelligent and very cultured. I keep getting water. Since we are getting at that water, the king might tap into their king of water. But no matter what, in my mind's eye, it made me think of Queen of Sheba. When Queen of Sheba. That whole significance. I do not know the whole story. I do know it is historical, but also biblical. It's something about the Queen of Sheba's meeting with the king. I don't know if it's King Solomon. I feel, and it's like a deep water knowing that it has to be a king that was of importance. And everyone thought of this king very highly. That's what I thought of King Solomon. Whoever the Queen of Sheba met as the king sorted her out. If the queen sorted him out, they both actually in the story needed each other to help each other operate the kingdom of not even better, but more bountiful, where it blesses even the people, where the peasants are no longer the peasants. Now the peasants have professions. That's how you can make a kingdom powerful, where now every king and queen their land usually has what they consider peasants, people that, like pawns, they are useful, but only to a certain extent. Queen of Sheba did not see it like that. I keep getting back to the Queen of Sheba. But no matter what, when the king does stand alone and sees that for the 7 days, how the way they see themselves, again, the king, this person was not originally a king. This king was once a peasant. Seeing that things are going to look up, the end of a difficult situation, what was difficult maybe was how to see a person as a king or queen. Taking a trip, that would explain why the king was on a venture. Let's see what happens next. Oh, God, Sagittarius. Juicy. Got the king and the queen. And what makes it so interesting, reading this book with you, Sagittarius, is that they're both opposite signs. So it's like seeing who you are through another element. It's like now this king could see himself through another element, and on top of it, see himself in another element, which is his own, but bringing it out. That and in a feminine energy too. So this king, like this queen, is very wise. Well, they do have unicorns, so they're very wise. And the dragon, ancient. They have ancient wisdom about them. They're, even if they're young, they have old souls. Something about them. These two. Wow, they get a celebration from seeing, again, this queen, just like the king, had to see being a queen. Maybe the queen, just like the king, was a peasant as well. And maybe when the king took the adventure, seeing that when speaking to the queen, because king of air is very intelligent, they know how to speak and communicate very well. He met his match when the queen showed a side of herself, a side of the face that not too many people see. She is a queen after all. But to tell her story of how she became queen too, that sparked a celebration between the king of air and the queen of air. So when they take that Ace of Cups, that opportunity to walk back into their kingdom, they now have a new way of looking at their position. Usually in history or books or movies, a lot of times kings and queens are usually always looking out and wandering, living their lives through the people that they govern. Now it's like seeing that they too can live the life that they want, even in a higher position. Just because you have a higher position in life does not mean that things can be taken away with you. You just get new celebrations, new victories, new communications, new collaborations. The king and queen gets a celebration, a wedding, a graduation, or a birth announcement. The need to have more fun. Most importantly, they get to announce, it's like initiation. They get to announce who they are as the king. It's like, yes, you're a king of air, but what kind of king are you? Yes, the element is air, but how, the way you speak, how do you see yourself? Do you see yourself, does the king see himself the king of the people? Does the queen see herself as the king, the queen that represents the face or the feeling space of her people? It's like, imagine these two kings and queens are now representative. In my mind's eye, thought of UN, United Nations. It's like every country has a representative, and that representative is of high authority, but most importantly, the people believe and know that their voices will be heard from these two particular people. Wow, this is something new. They got, okay. Maybe, yes, this is you, Sagittarius. I was feeling their energy with ancestors too. They know, the queen and queen knows that they're going to get the celebration from the world, because kings and queens, yes, they govern their land or their people, but it's every king and queen around the world. It's like their influence is talked about to other king and queens, And now the other king and queens can now have a sigh of relief, like, whew, I thought I had to always be stern, rigid, conservative, which is necessary, but I can also show that other side and not be considered too soft. It's like that other space of who they are, maybe they had to tuck that in deep within. And now they get the opportunity to bring it out. Wow. And for the world waiting for them in their answer, a job well done. Again, they faced it, something that took all 10, like you have 10 fingers, 10 toes. It took every fiber of who they are to complete it. And not just, yes, it might have started by themselves. The queen could have started the venture by herself too. So did the king. But as they were setting off on this adventure to find their setting or who they are, they end up bumping into each other. Can you imagine a king bumps into a queen out of nowhere? I mean, first of all, they had to must sneak out of the castle to do that. So that told you something. That would explain why the king was like, don't come, I'm just taking a walk. I'm just taking a walk. You know where I usually walk. I'll be back in a minute. And he went on an adventure. Oh, the queen was like, oh, I'm about to pick some flowers and, you know, speak to the maidens and whatever the queen may do. And she went for the hills or went to the forest. And then through the forest, the king and queen met. Communicated, talked. And as they talked and walked, they realized that they have a world in common, a lot in common. Their worlds are very much the same. They came up as the king and queen, but it's very much the same. And they end off becoming the Knight of Fire, sticking loyal to why they face things, sticking loyal to their passion, sticking loyal to why they had to take that adventure alone in the first place. Self-assured and restless. Again, that ace of wand, that ace of fire, always having that opportunity to face anything that comes their way because they know now they are the face of their people. And their people comes from many shades, many facets of life. And they get to represent that. That's right. It's worth fighting for because every person that is in their kingdom is a representation of them. That's why being loyal and dedicated and honorable is going to be shown. So, a sudden event that needs immediate attention, time is of the essence, things through carefully. Okay, they did have the 10 of fire, so they had to tackle that. So they're tackling it by the way they show their loyalty. So let's see how they do tackle the 10 of fire. Because the 10 of fire can become the 10 of water, the 10 of earth. How are you feeling? Okay. If we look in masculine, is no gender in the library, but we had to speak in gender based. Masculine, you know you are king of air. You know you have matured, and people around you see you as stepping into advance. Like whatever you had to face that was tight, intense, too much to bear, you figured out how to bear it on your own. And it took you to actually see through the 7 days that you have been living so far, or when you do have stress or things that try to stop you, how did you stabilize it? It's like now with this new energy, you were once a person, and the person is powerful. It's the journey that creates the person to become their own. And how you become into your own is the king. Same thing with feminine. Feminine, you are the queen of fire. You had to go through like the masculine, things that may have stressed you out or things that you had to sort out because like any queen, if your kingdom is not stable, it can fall apart or become chaotic. So you had to go within to understand what is a queen to you. And by you standing alone in that adventure, you was able to see the success and victory in that. Because you, masculine and feminine, you have the world waiting for you. What you went through as a character is exactly what kind of characteristics people may need to see of you to show them how to become their own king and queen. Yeah, what was once stressful is now going to show you that you are now the nine of swords is about being stressed or staying up at night trying to wonder. You have the sword of truth right here to show you that you are always standing in your truth, no matter when things are stressful. You are the high priestess. You have walked through the doorway into the Akashic Records. You are reading the Akashic Records right now, only parts of it. But you, as a person, hold the Akashic Records. You living as a human being, as a person, is actually a Akashic Record. And your teachings, or what you had to say, has come from your personal life experience, your professional experience, any experience that you see as a treasure or worth putting into pages or keeping into your mind's eye, to your heart and soul. You're able to use that as the key or keys to help people find their way. And because in the world, people are losing hope in who they are. Sometimes when we say a compliment, we don't think that that's really true, when in fact it is. When someone says you are, when the hermit maybe have heard in the character that a hermit is a spiritual teacher, just like the high priestess. Oh, you're a spiritual teacher, you can't fall in love. Who said that? So yes, the hermit is wise in teaching, but how do you think the hermit became the hermit? The hermit had to live life, had to live, had to love, had to lost in love, had to see that their passions can be put to use or can be put out. And then they had to refine their passion or their hope again. So for a hermit to just be seen as a hermit, it kind of hinders them. It's like a queen or a king just be seen as a king or queen. That's it. And you wonder why in history or in life people in high authority become stern and cold. It's because what is being placed upon them based on their position. Just because you have that position does not mean that the position has to be played out as such. You, as the person, creates the position, not the position itself. The position was made through the people, from the people. It wasn't this, it didn't just come out of nowhere. It was created by a person, by peoples. And that is how you turn that 10 of earth, that 10 of fire to the 10 of earth. Until we meet again, I enjoy reading the book with you, with this wonderful book with you. Sagittarius. If this book resonates with you, press the like button, share, and subscribe. If you would like to, just like you, I had to experience this journey in the 3D world. So when we meet again in the 5D in the Akashic Records library, we can bring energy and create more books together. These characters did not just come from my own experience. It came from your experience, your ancestors, God, Gaia that is inside of you and outside of you to show us in a physical, tangible way. So it's going to take me some time. But in the meantime, definitely look back on every fire, air, water. Fire, air, water. Definitely look at that. The stars that have fire, which is Aries, Leo, Sagittarius like yourself. Water, which is Scorpio, Cancer, Pisces, especially with the high priestess. And air, which is your opposite sign, Gemini, Libra, Aquarius. These books, when you go into the library, you're going to see other elements there reading the book that you're going to be reading with them. Your energy will help them and their energy will help you. This is how we are as social beings. We're here as a light to show each other the light, even our dark, our shadow. So press the bell button so when we come back, or when I come from the 3D, when we meet again, you'll know when I'm in the Akashic Records library. Definitely press the bell button. Subscribe, I love. The like button, I love. But the one that gets to my heartstring is when you press the bell button, because that lets me know that I'm not alone when reading. I never feel alone, but to know that I have another physical energy there with me makes a whole difference. Don't you agree? Well, thank you for this adventure. Thank you for... This took me back to reading Rainbow. Take a look. It's in the book. Reading rainbow. Reading rainbow. Reading rainbow. I'm so sorry. I just had to do that. I love watching Reading Rainbow when younger. That tells my age. I don't care. All right. Love you. Love you, Sagittarius. We will see you on the other side.